Jeep, Dodge, and Ram on the verge of collapse. The dealerships are full, profits are down, and buyers are nowhere to be found. What happened to these legendary brands? Once the go-to choice for adventure seekers and hardworking Americans, these iconic brands are now facing a financial disaster, with profits down almost 50% and dealerships overloaded with unsold vehicles. Stellantis is scrambling to regain consumer trust. Why are these brands struggling to connect with modern buyers? What hidden factors are driving these shifts? And most importantly, how does this affect you? Let's dive into the shocking details. What's happening? Once celebrated as the rugged backbone of American roadways, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram have been symbols of grit, power, and reliability for decades. From the iconic Jeep Wrangler conquering off-road trails, to Dodge's muscle cars dominating drag strips, and Ram trucks hauling everything from worksite loads to family trailers, these brands have built a legacy that resonates deeply with Americans. For many, owning one of these vehicles wasn't just about transportation, it was about identity. Fast forward to today, and that iconic image is rapidly crumbling. Dealerships are drowning in inventory, unable to sell models like the Jeep Wagoneer, which are priced so high they seem out of reach for the average buyer. Ram trucks, once the go-to for working-class Americans, now come with staggering price tags that have left customers shaking their heads. And Dodge, famous for its powerful Challenger and Charger models, is facing dwindling interest as consumers shift toward electric and hybrid options. This isn't just a story about declining sales. It's a seismic shift that's raising questions about whether these brands can survive the current storm. What happened to the once reliable workhorse of the middle class? And why are Americans turning their backs on these iconic names? Let's talk numbers. The financial results are in, and they're nothing short of devastating. Stellantis, the parent company of Jeep, Dodge, and Ram, recently announced a shocking 48% drop in net income compared to the previous year. For perspective, that's nearly half of their profits gone. Poof! The Grand Wagoneer, a luxury SUV priced at over $100,000, is emblematic of the problem. Dealerships are crammed with these high-ticket vehicles that no one seems interested in buying. At some dealerships, inventory has reached critical levels. Rows of unsold trucks and SUVs stretch as far as the eye can see, many of them brand new models from 2022 and 2020. These vehicles are victims of lot rot, a term used to describe the depreciation that occurs when cars sit unsold for months, or even years. Each day they remain on the lot, the dealerships lose more money, adding financial strain to an already grim situation. While Stellantis struggles, competitors like Ford and Tesla are thriving. Ford's F-Series trucks dominate the market, offering a mix of affordability and reliability that Stellantis's Ram simply can't match. Meanwhile, Tesla's electric vehicles are capturing the imagination of a new generation of buyers. In stark contrast, Stellantis appears stuck in a bygone era, failing to adapt to changing consumer preferences and economic realities. For dealership owners and employees, these numbers are more than just statistics. They're a direct threat to their livelihoods. How long can these dealerships sustain such losses? The disconnect with consumers. The heart of the issue lies in a growing disconnect between Stellantis and its consumers. While the average American is feeling the pinch of rising costs and inflation, Stellantis continues to roll out vehicles with sky-high price tags. Take the Ram 2500 Mega Cab, a heavy-duty truck priced at nearly $90,000. For most families, monthly payments on a vehicle like this could easily exceed $1,500, a figure that's simply out of reach for many. Meanwhile, Jeep has been banking on nostalgia with models like the Grand Cherokee and Wrangler, but even these once beloved vehicles are losing their luster. Why? Because today's buyers are looking for more than just heritage. They want affordability, efficiency, and innovation. Jeep's failure to deliver hybrid and electric options that compete with the likes of Ford's Mustang Mach-E or Tesla's Model Y is a glaring oversight. Dodge, too, is feeling the heat. While its muscle cars remain popular with a niche audience, the broader market is shifting toward practical, eco-friendly options. Dodge's lack of a strong presence in the hybrid or electric vehicle market leaves it vulnerable, especially as government incentives and environmental concerns push consumers toward greener choices. This misalignment with consumer needs and preferences has created a perfect storm for Stellantis. The result? Empty dealership lots, frustrated buyers, and an uncertain future for three of America's most iconic automotive brands. Inventory crisis. At the heart of Stellantis' struggles is an overwhelming inventory crisis. Dealerships across the country are reporting record numbers of unsold vehicles, with some lots packed so tightly that they're running out of space. A recent visit to a Stellantis dealership revealed rows of brand new Ram trucks, Jeep Grand Cherokees, and Dodge Hornets collecting dust. Some vehicles date back to 2022, a stark reminder of the brand's failure to connect with today's consumers. The financial toll of this inventory buildup is staggering. Every unsold vehicle represents a loss, not just in potential revenue, but in carrying costs for dealerships. Known as floor plan costs, these expenses include loan interest on unsold inventory and maintenance fees. For dealerships, these costs are becoming unsustainable, forcing many to take drastic measures like slashing prices or offering aggressive financing incentives. Yet even these efforts aren't enough. The average price of a new Jeep Grand Cherokee is over $53,000, while a Grand Wagoneer can cost more than $100,000. For most buyers, these prices simply don't make sense, especially when competitors offer better features at lower costs. This inventory crisis isn't just a dealership problem, it's a Stellantis problem. The company's inability to manage production levels and align with market demands is a major factor behind its current struggles. And unless drastic changes are made, the situation is only going to get worse. But here's the burning question. How did Jeep, Dodge, and Ram, a trio once synonymous with rugged dependability and American pride, end up on the brink of alienating their own customers? What's driving their vehicles off dealership lots and into storage yards instead of driveways? Let's break it down. Overpriced and out of reach. The automotive industry thrives on one basic principle: understanding the needs of its customers. Yet Stellantis, the parent company of Jeep, Dodge, and Ram, seems to have completely missed the mark. The sticker shock across their vehicle lineup is driving potential buyers away. Imagine walking into a dealership and seeing a Ram 2500 with a price tag nearing $90,000, or a Jeep Wagoneer priced over $100,000. For most Americans, these numbers are staggering. The cost of living in the United States has skyrocketed in recent years, with inflation pushing everything from groceries to housing out of reach for many families. Add rising interest rates on car loans, and it is no surprise that prospective buyers are thinking twice before committing to such high monthly payments. Financing a $90,000 truck could easily result in payments exceeding $1,500 a month. For working-class families or small business owners, that figure is simply unmanageable. Stellantis' pricing strategy has alienated its core demographic, buyers seeking rugged, reliable vehicles that offer good value for their money. This is a far cry from the company's earlier years, when Jeep, Dodge, and Ram were synonymous with affordability and durability. Today, these brands seem more focused on competing in the luxury market than serving the average American consumer. While competitors like Ford have managed to keep their prices competitive, Stellantis' overpricing has created a significant barrier to entry for potential buyers. This isn't just about high prices, it's about failing to deliver value. When buyers compare a Ram truck to a similarly priced Ford F-Series or Chevrolet Silverado, they often find that Stellantis vehicles lack the features, reliability, or resale value they expect. The electric vehicle void. The global automotive industry is shifting gears toward electrification, and Stellantis is being left behind. While competitors like Tesla, Ford, and Hyundai are investing heavily in electric vehicle technology, Stellantis appears to be dragging its feet. Sure, they have introduced a few hybrid options, but these offerings pale in comparison to the innovative, high-performance electric vehicles being rolled out by their rivals. Take Tesla, for example. The brand has captivated buyers with its sleek designs, cutting-edge technology, and extensive charging infrastructure. Ford has also made waves with its electric F-Series trucks and Mustang Mach-E, both of which have received rave reviews. Meanwhile, Stellantis' efforts in the electric vehicle market feel half-hearted at best. Jeep, Dodge, and Ram are still heavily reliant on traditional internal combustion engines, a strategy that feels increasingly out of step with consumer preferences and environmental regulations. The Jeep Wrangler 4xe, for instance, is marketed as a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, but struggles to deliver the performance, range, and innovation seen in competing models. This lack of serious investment in electric vehicles is particularly troubling given the growing demand for eco-friendly options. More consumers are prioritizing sustainability, driven by environmental concerns and government incentives for electric vehicle purchases. Stellantis' failure to adapt to this shift isn't just a missed opportunity, it's a recipe for long-term irrelevance. Production missteps and quality concerns. Another major issue plaguing Stellantis is its production strategy. Reports have surfaced of widespread quality control issues at several of their manufacturing plants in the United States. From minor defects to significant mechanical problems, these issues are eroding consumer trust in the Jeep, Dodge, and Ram brands. The CEO of Stellantis recently acknowledged these problems, pointing out that at least 2 manufacturing plants in the United States require significant turnaround efforts. While this may sound like an attempt to take accountability, it raises deeper questions about the company's operational leadership. How did these problems go unchecked for so long? And why hasn't Stellantis done more to address them? These production missteps have real consequences for dealerships and consumers alike. Vehicles that require repairs before they can even be sold add to dealership costs and delay the sales process. For buyers, these quality issues translate to a higher likelihood of post-purchase problems, which can lead to costly repairs and a frustrating ownership experience. Meanwhile, competitors like Toyota and Honda continue to set the standard for reliability, offering vehicles that consistently outperform Stellantis models in quality rankings. For Jeep, Dodge, and Ram, this reputation gap is a significant hurdle in attracting new buyers or retaining existing customers. The role of leadership. A closer look at Stellantis' leadership reveals another layer to the company's struggles. The executive team, led by a CEO based in Europe, appears disconnected from the needs and expectations of the American market. This lack of understanding is evident in the company's product lineup, pricing strategy, and response to market trends. One glaring example is Stellantis' focus on oversized luxury SUVs like the Jeep Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer. While these vehicles may appeal to a niche audience, they are far removed from what the average American family is looking for: affordable, efficient, and practical options. By doubling down on high-end models, Stellantis has effectively turned its back on a significant portion of its customer base. The leadership's tendency to deflect blame further exacerbates the problem. Instead of owning up to their mistakes, executives often point fingers at external factors like tariffs, supply chain disruptions, or labor costs. While these challenges are real, they don't excuse the company's failure to adapt and innovate. This lack of accountability is reflected in the company's financial performance. Shareholders are losing confidence, as evidenced by a 9% drop in Stellantis' stock price following their most recent earnings report. For a company already struggling to maintain its foothold in the market, this loss of investor trust is a dangerous sign. Unrealistic pricing. If there is one thing consumers can agree on, it is that prices are skyrocketing across the board. This holds especially true for Jeep, Dodge, and Ram vehicles. At one time, these brands were known for offering consumers rugged, affordable vehicles that didn't break the bank. Fast forward to today, and their sticker prices are shockingly out of touch with economic realities. How did these brands find themselves pricing out the very people who built their reputation? The average price of a Dodge Ram 1500 has ballooned to over $85,000, while Jeep's Grand Wagoneer frequently crosses the 6-figure threshold. For working-class families, the backbone of these brands, these price points are impossible to justify. Add to this rising interest rates on auto loans, now hovering around 7% for new vehicles, and the monthly payment for one of these trucks or SUVs can easily climb above $1,000. Even buyers who once prioritized brand loyalty are being pushed into the arms of competitors offering better value. A Hyundai Santa Fe or Toyota Tacoma may not have the same rugged appeal, but their affordability makes them accessible for families facing mounting financial pressures. For Jeep, Dodge, and Ram, this misalignment with consumer needs represents a colossal failure to read the room. And what about fuel efficiency? In an era where energy-conscious consumers are increasingly gravitating toward hybrids and electric vehicles, the gas-guzzling nature of many Jeep, Dodge, and Ram models only deepens the chasm between these brands and their audience. The EV misstep that changed the game. As the automotive world leans into electrification, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram are falling behind. While competitors like Ford and General Motors have aggressively rolled out electric vehicles and hybrid options, these brands seem stuck in the past. Yes, Dodge recently teased its all-electric Charger concept, but the lack of actual market-ready electric options is glaring. For Ram, the challenge is even starker. Rivals such as the Ford F-150 Lightning have proven that electric trucks can be powerful, efficient, and desirable. Meanwhile, Ram has only just begun to hint at entering the electric vehicle race. This delay is causing them to lose critical ground in an industry that is shifting faster than anyone could have anticipated. Jeep's electric offerings are similarly underwhelming. The brand's hybrid models, such as the Jeep Wrangler 4xe, have garnered some attention, but they are far from game changers. In contrast, competitors like Tesla and Hyundai are pushing boundaries with vehicles that redefine the electric driving experience. Jeep's offerings feel more like half-hearted attempts to stay relevant rather than bold steps toward innovation. Why does this matter to you? Because the electric vehicle revolution is shaping how manufacturers prioritize features, pricing, and technology. By missing the electric vehicle mark, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram are alienating eco-conscious buyers and risking long-term irrelevance. Too much inventory, too little demand. One of the most visible signs of Jeep, Dodge, and Ram's current struggles is the alarming amount of unsold inventory clogging dealership lots. Rows upon rows of Grand Wagoneers, Dodge Hornets, and Ram trucks are collecting dust as dealers struggle to find buyers. This surplus isn't just a minor inconvenience, it's a symptom of systemic issues within these brands. Why are dealerships overwhelmed with vehicles? The answer lies in production mismanagement and a failure to adapt to changing consumer demands. Despite dwindling sales, Stellantis, the parent company of Jeep, Dodge, and Ram, has continued to produce vehicles at a relentless pace. This has led to what insiders call lot rot, where unsold cars accumulate, costing dealerships money in interest and storage fees. For the average buyer, this surplus can seem like an opportunity to score a deal, and yet the discounts offered aren't enough to make these high-priced vehicles affordable. Furthermore, the oversupply of models like the Jeep Grand Wagoneer is eroding their perceived value, creating a vicious cycle where buyers hesitate to invest in a vehicle that might depreciate faster than its competitors. The job cuts nobody saw coming. The ripple effects of plummeting sales and excess inventory extend far beyond the dealerships. Stellantis has already begun scaling back production, which translates to fewer jobs on the factory floor. In areas like Detroit, where automotive manufacturing is the lifeblood of the community, these cuts are devastating. Families that have relied on steady paychecks from Jeep, Dodge, and Ram factories for decades are now grappling with the reality of layoffs and financial uncertainty. Union workers who once saw their positions as stable are now facing an uncertain future, and with Stellantis' focus shifting toward international markets, many fear that these job losses are just the beginning. Even as new factories spring up abroad to cater to electric vehicle demands, the closure or downsizing of domestic plants sends a harsh message to loyal employees. The irony is that these brands, which once prided themselves on being made in America, are now outsourcing more production than ever before. For American workers, the betrayal feels deeply personal, eroding trust in brands they once supported with pride. For buyers, these job cuts matter because they signal a deeper instability within these brands. After all, a company that cannot maintain its workforce or sustain production is unlikely to inspire confidence in its products. It raises the question, if the automaker is struggling to survive, can buyers trust them to innovate, deliver quality, and support their investments in the years to come? A legacy at risk. Jeep, Dodge, and Ram were once pillars of the automotive world, symbols of resilience, power, and ruggedness that resonated with the spirit of American independence. These brands stood tall as the vehicles of choice for adventurers, hard workers, and anyone seeking dependability and strength. But today, their inability to adapt to new consumer demands, rising costs, and shifting market trends has left them teetering on the brink of a brand identity crisis. Their struggles don't just affect the automotive industry, they ripple out to communities, workers, and everyday drivers. The vehicles that once defined reliability and innovation are now struggling to compete in a market dominated by forward-thinking competitors. Brands like Ford and Chevrolet have successfully evolved, while Jeep, Dodge, and Ram appear stuck in a loop of dated designs and sky-high price tags that alienate modern buyers. So what comes next? Can these brands course correct before it's too late, or are they destined to fade into irrelevance? To survive, they must reconnect with what made them iconic while embracing the future of mobility. Jeep could reinvigorate its image by leaning into affordable electric models that retain their off-road spirit. Dodge could pivot back to its roots with hybrid muscle cars that offer power without the premium fuel price. Ram could carve a niche as the sustainable workhorse for the next generation of contractors and builders. The manufacturer's crossroads. For Jeep, Dodge, and Ram, the situation has reached a tipping point. Stellantis, their parent company, is scrambling to regain its footing, but the path forward is riddled with challenges. Faced with declining sales, dissatisfied consumers, and an evolving automotive industry, the stakes have never been higher. Can Stellantis turn these brands around, or are they destined to fade into irrelevance? At the heart of their struggle lies the ability or inability to adapt. Competitors like Ford, General Motors, and Tesla are forging ahead with bold investments in electric vehicles and sustainable manufacturing practices. Meanwhile, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram seem stuck in a bygone era, catering to a shrinking segment of consumers who still prioritize oversized, gas-guzzling vehicles. It's not that these vehicles have no market, it's that their appeal is narrowing while alternatives grow more enticing. Stellantis has signaled efforts to address these challenges, announcing investments in electric vehicle technology and pledging to release more competitive models. But are these moves too little, too late? For every new initiative, there's the shadow of missed opportunities, and for consumers, trust in these brands is quickly eroding. A consumer reckoning. The fallout isn't just hitting dealerships and manufacturers, it's affecting everyday buyers in profound ways. Consumers who bought into the Jeep, Dodge, or Ram dream are finding themselves in a financial bind. Vehicles that once held their value are now depreciating at alarming rates, leaving many owners underwater on their loans. Imagine owing tens of thousands of dollars more than your vehicle is worth, a harsh reality for countless drivers. Moreover, buyers looking to trade in their vehicles are being met with dismal offers thanks to the oversaturated market. Dealerships flooded with unsold inventory are unwilling to pay top dollar for trade-ins, further alienating potential customers. For those still holding onto these brands, the question becomes, is it even worth it anymore? And it's not just current owners feeling the sting. Prospective buyers are steering clear of Jeep, Dodge, and Ram in favor of more reliable, affordable, and innovative competitors. This exodus isn't just about price, it's about a fundamental shift in consumer priorities. Safety, sustainability, and value are taking precedence over the rugged, oversized image these brands once championed. A glimmer of hope or a final warning. Despite the dire outlook, there's still a chance for redemption. Stellantis has the resources and industry clout to turn things around, but it will require bold, decisive action. Cutting production of poorly selling models and doubling down on electric vehicle innovation is a start, but it's only one piece of the puzzle. They must also address the pricing issue that's alienating middle-class buyers, ensuring their offerings are not just innovative but also accessible. The brands need a reinvention, one that resonates with modern buyers while honoring the legacy that made them iconic. Jeep could tap into its adventurous spirit by offering compact, affordable electric vehicles that appeal to urban explorers. Dodge might reclaim its performance roots with sleek, powerful hybrids that bridge the gap between muscle and modernity. And Ram could redefine itself as the go-to truck for sustainability-conscious workers who demand rugged reliability without sacrificing eco-friendly features. But reinvention takes time, and the window to act is rapidly closing. The longer Stellantis delays, the harder it will be to claw back market share from competitors who are already miles ahead. With Tesla dominating electric vehicles and Ford innovating in the truck space, Stellantis must move faster than ever before. For now, consumers are watching closely, wondering if these brands can deliver on their promises, or if they're witnessing the final chapter of a once great legacy. What this means for you. If you're a current or potential buyer, this saga carries important lessons. The automotive landscape is shifting fast, and loyalty to a brand is no longer enough to guarantee satisfaction or value. As buyers, we need to prioritize innovation, affordability, and long-term reliability over nostalgic attachments. Whether you're considering a Jeep for off-road adventures, a Dodge for its iconic performance pedigree, or a Ram for its workhorse durability, it's essential to ask, does this brand align with where you're headed, or is it stuck in the past, unable to meet today's demands? Beyond the dealership lot, this issue reflects broader trends shaping the entire automotive sector. For the industry, this story is a wake-up call that echoes loudly. The days of resting on a storied reputation are over. Consumers now demand vehicles that are sustainable, technologically advanced, and priced realistically. The brands that fail to listen and adapt risk being left behind in an increasingly competitive market. The message is clear: evolve or perish. What do you think? Are Jeep, Dodge, and Ram still worth considering, or have they lost their edge in a market teeming with better options? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Whether you're a lifelong fan, a curious shopper, or someone who's already jumped ship to a competitor, let's discuss where these brands are heading, what they need to change, and how this impacts all of us as drivers and consumers. Your voice matters in shaping the future of these automotive icons.